Can't hear you. Jason, huh? Don't you know?
Is he gonna try to connect for you, sorry?
Well, I thought he didn't think he could make this one, but he was gonna try and make that the commission meeting.
Okay.
This is, his orders have changed a little bit, so he had to kind of switch things around.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Off to his goes. Anybody ready? Cast on, stop. Let me ready. West of here. Okay. Before you get to 38, 38 is. But
I was gonna say,
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
I took that in 2003, shortly after we paved it then, now this year, last year we paved it again and chip sealed it now, so. Yeah, that's a nice picture to take because you don't have a lot of hills against companies. Yeah, a little vertical curve.
It's not the highest from.
No, that's not.
Cool.
Great.
Medium.
Yeah. I guess, Commissioner, right? I guess so.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, welcome. Hopefully you all can hear remotely for the July 21st road advisory meeting. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if we can go around and introduce ourselves, or how do we want to do that, or?
Try to take roll, see who's on.
Okay, take roll, I guess, Brielle, would you please take roll?
Yep, Mr. Peterson,
I'm here.
Mr. Pollock,
So before I say that I'm here, I'm going to say, the people who are speaking, if you would identify yourself first, that would be helpful for those of us who aren't in the room. I'm here.
Mr. Breitling,
Here.
Mrs. Sherling,
I'm here.
Mr. Steen,
Here.
Mr. Benson, Mr. Lavig,
Here.
Mr. Heil,
Here.
Mr. Seward,
Here.
Mr. Munson.
Here.
And that's everyone for roll call.
Thank you, Bill. Go ahead, Tom.
All right, okay, well, without any further ado, hope you can hear me okay. I'm gonna start here. So first, I'd like to just kind of update, the members of this, board here of our projects that we're got going on this year. So kind of what happened to us here, like last winter, we're working on this Wheatland Radial T safety project. And that one, there were some issues with trying to get the right of way, and we needed to purchase a home first. And that was kind of that was going to take longer than we thought. So then we ended up delaying that project. And then we also need to get another culvert to the railroad and got to get permits for that. So and then the home buyout. But we're in the process now of getting actually on today's commission is where we hired a contractor, West Coast, to take that house down. And that same contractor would also help us with another flood channel property northeast of Harwood. So, but now this is going to be on the October 16th North Dakota DOT bid letting. So we had to move this one. So this is kind of an aerial view. That house, you can see my pointer here. this is where the house that we need to remove this house. And then as we redo, we flatten these curves out, so they're 55, then you can make a left turn to go south, and then you can keep on, and if someone's making a left turn and it's traffic, they can just go around them, this little bypass lane here. And the same situation is up on the north curve. So that could greatly improve this. The old one was, there was a yield sign, we changed it to a stop sign, right here, but it's always kind of a bad spot there where no one really knows who's supposed to stop, but fortunately we haven't had any accidents there, but it's one thing that was identified in our safety, plan that the state has done for us. So we're in the process of fixing up this intersection, or both intersections, I should say. Here's just another view of the house. It's got some foundation issues. This whole area where the house is, that's where we need to mitigate some wetlands. So that area right in there is where that'll be a kind of somewhat of a pond down there. So we needed to buy that home. So then what we did is we asked the commission if it would be possible. We delayed that Radial T project, if we could move ahead with some chip seal projects and some subgrade repair, and then this box culvert. And what we did, so the ones in green are the ones we added. We chip sealed the roads that we paved in 2019. So from Chafee, going east to State Highway 18, all of State Highway 38, and then from Air to 38. Then we added these subgrade repair projects on the gravel from where the pavement ends north of Tower City up to County 4, and then County 2 from the Galesburg Road 5 over to State Highway 18. Those roads were pretty rough shape this spring, again with frost boils and all kinds of things. So those were the two main projects we added. So and then other than that, this is kind of what our main list would look like. For our biggest project is Castle, and we're regrading from where we left off, right by the school in Castle, going east. It took a little longer for some of the milling there, but we basically got all the pavement off now, and we're using some of the millings for access for the residents, and now they're in the process of putting the cement into the subgrade to reinforce that. Then we'll bring the millings back, bring some more gravel on top of that. We'll blend that together, and then we'll put some asphalt, just 26 feet wide for the entire project, and do the approaches this fall, re-gravel shoulders. And the next year we'll put 4 more inches on top of that. So it's supposed to be done end of August, but we're probably going to be probably mid-September, the way things are looking now. So other than that, County Road 6, just kind of northwest of Horace, there's a piece that was gravel there. We extended that gravel to the Cheyenne diversion, so it's got paved shoulders, so that's the inlet right there. There's a housing development on the south side, so now that is upgraded to a paved road. Kind of our 5-year, it was in our 5-year plan. And we had our safety project over by northeast of Tower City. There was really some steep slopes over there. Our forces are actually working on that, and Blaine's guys that's turned out pretty good. They're basically just got some seeding, I think, left there, Blaine.
Yep.
Yeah, so that one's really looking nice. So other than that, we got some box culverts, kind of by Emden. The contractor installed a box just west of Emden, kind of straight west of Emden. And then they did one up here, kind of just southeast of Erie. And that red one, we're just going to leave for now. We were going to take it out, but we're just going to wait now. Just leave it there. Visit more with the township and kind of get their thoughts. Other than that, we have one more for our contractor to install. That's the 1920 Castleton one. And there we're waiting for the State Water Commission that we possibly can get some cost share. So we're working with the Water Resource District there. And if we can get cost share, that'd be great. And then the yellow one is a bridge that we're going to redo the deck on. That'll be our forces. It's a timber abutments and wood decking, but the wood stringers and the deck itself is pretty rough shape. We want to upgrade that with a steel deck, and then you have to put asphalt over it. So it'd be, greatly improve that bridge. These two are actually part of the ones that we had removed from this year. should have mentioned that earlier. These two here, I guess the blue one is our, the bridge over County 17, just west of I-29. Some holes in the deck and the rebar was sticking through, so IBI fixed up that bridge deck and, we fixed the ends there too. They had some issues with the end of the bridge where some of the concrete was kind of crumbling away, and so we fixed that all up and that's greatly improved that one. And then those other two triangles are the Water Resource District projects that they're trying to get done this year, but that depends upon cost share, and they haven't bid those yet, so they may or may not happen this year, or probably next year. That first one is really in rough shape. That thing is really bad, you know.
Yes,
Steve
it is.
definitely knows about that one.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and then the one west of there, it actually, it's
That's in good shape, I
it's structurally deficient on, when the DOT looks at it, and the buttons are rotating, it's actually there, and then you're getting, actually, it looks good from the top, but the bottom is, it's got that precast concrete deck, so it's, it actually looks pretty good, but it's just, everything else holds it up is not as good, so. And then, north of there, the Seibel subdivision there's 2 box culverts that our guys were gonna install there to kind of help with some flooding issues there. And the last one is the Water Resource District at Green Triangle east of Harwood. That is there's a big metal pipe in there now, and we're looking at taking that out. The water board is, and we're gonna put a concrete box in there. So that's they're looking at probably mid-October, somewhere in there. We actually are gonna bid it here first week in August. I think it's the 3rd, and then that Thursday is when the board would meet and they could award the contract that day. Well, that's kind of what we got going on this year for our major projects. And this is what we're looking at for next year. We've got some different questions. For next year, basically looking at beginning with our ALT project, and we overlay County Road 10 we built this year, and it'll be the first, the 76th Avenue and 45th Street. We're grading that, and then it'll be a gravel surface road to take some of the pressure off of County Road 17. Well, those are the 3 bigger projects. And
This is Ken Pollock interrupting. Explain again that the 45th Street and, what was it, 64th Avenue?
Yeah, it's 76th Avenue, so it's east of where that roundabout we built last year. So we went about a half mile east of County 17 there last year. And so we go from there over to 45th Street and then up to 64th Avenue South. Now it's kind of our 5-year plan there to, because there's like a series of projects down that southeastern part of the county there to, we take pressure off of County 17. We're working with the city of Horace and the city of Fargo there to eventually County 17 would get turned over. So.
And did we add that as a county road?
It'll probably be a county road or at least county maintained road until that area gets annexed in by the city.
Yeah, but is it a numbered county highway?
We haven't officially given it a number yet. We're probably, it could be like County Road 6A or something like that, because there is a County Road 6 that still goes east up at 52nd Avenue. There's a little piece there that they didn't rebuild last year. That's still under our jurisdiction.
Okay, but my question is, when did it get added as a county road?
We haven't added it yet, Mr. Pollock. It's just the agreement that we had with the city of Fargo, and I would say the city of Horace and Cass County.
And was that part of a bridge, part of getting a bridge put in there? I'm just trying to think of how it became a county highway.
Yeah, it's just basically to take some of the pressure off of county. So it's an agreement that we had with Horace and that area down there with all the diversion and all that kind of stuff happening down there. So it's County 17 is going to, as that area grows, it's going to need some relief valve basically.
And we haven't done any. Can you tell me when that all occurred?
No, it's probably a couple of years ago, I guess is when this first got proposed.
But the road hasn't been built, it's for next year,
Right.
and we did the roundabout at 76th Avenue and County Road 17. So that's where Tom's talking about
Yeah.
that little half mile stretch there in front of the new Horace High School. But it's not considered ours yet.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
okay. Those are the main roads, and then the rest are structures. It seems like a lot of structures. These will all be in our request for, actually in our 21 budget. So we're looking at some federal funds to replace a bridge down here on the Maple. This one's actually got some slide repair issues, and the best thing probably we're looking at doing there, after analyzing everything, is to put actually it's like a larger, it's a larger box culvert that you can, kind of a low water crossing box culvert that would be putting in there. If you put a bridge in there, it'd be super long, and plus you could still have slide issues, so we're getting federal funds for that one. That's programmed with the DOT. The other bridges, there's one out here in Clifton Township on the Maple. There's some issues there with the township and that one. It gets overtopped, and on the east side, it takes their road out, and that the bridge has been there. It was built in the early 50s, so it's been there quite a while. The rest of these structures, all these yellow ones, kind of like Durban, it's these two right here, kind of just west of Durban. Those are working with the Water Resource District. They're extending their Leechburg channel. They basically went from this yellow one here all the way to the Maple this year. They replaced a box culvert on our 29 last fall, and they paved it this summer. And so next year we want to replace these other two box culverts also. These will be done by probably contractor, these two on County 9 here. And so getting all these structures fixed up, because the year after that, we're actually looking at reshaping County Road 9. So we get the box culverts fixed up the year before, and give them time to settle and everything. Other than that, there's a box culvert here in Raymond Township on Drain 14. But this would be one to our forces would install and have this one installed prior to any work done with the diversion. So we're not trying to put a box culvert in when if any construction of diversion is happening. So this would be done before that would happen. Then we also included these two with Mr. Munson's place there, that thinking that they probably won't get done this year, we just put them into next year's budget. So just in case you don't get out and it's getting, the window's closing. So then up in Noble Township, kind of by Gardner here, there's a bunch of box culverts on the drain. The one off just County Road 2 here, that's a code 3 one, which is DOT kind of flags it as a kind of rough shaped one. So we want to get that one fixed up, and the other two, the rest are just box culverts that will replace like older wooden bridges that have seen their better days. They're past their service life. And then down in just south of Fargo, this is that bridge we're working on Ladies Avenue, trying to do that buyout with Mr. Holford down there, and the bridge is short one person there, so still working on that. It's a possibility that could still maybe happen this fall yet, but if not, and we did get some money from FEMA, or they said they had it, but I guess I haven't seen it yet. But working with Justin Mesner at the state, so hopefully with that we can buy that homeowner out and then be able to remove that bridge. That bridge is really in rough shape, and it catches a lot of trees and timber and everything. It's really putting a lot of pressure on that bridge, and actually it's closed right now, but that east abutment is rotated to the point where it's not even safe to even drive across the thing really. So that's kind of what we got going on for next year, and all that will be presented at our budget hearing coming up here this Thursday.
Okay, Tom, Ken Pollock here with a question.
Okay.
On the very first one that you talked about, the box culvert that is going to be taken out and, well, replaced, and you'll have a low water crossing.
Yes.
Is that in an area that is going to further impact when the water is high and limit their opportunity to get in and get out when the Maple is flooding?
They can get out from north, but there's one homeowner on the south side and they wouldn't be affected. There actually is a bridge there now that's failing. And the bridge was actually built in '97 and it's got such soil issues there where it's failing, but everybody else can get out from the south and from the north from there. But,
Well, I was just thinking that when all the roads and bridges are closed, when the impoundment for the Maple River Dam is filling and full, you know, those people are inconvenienced long after the rest of us that get the benefits are able to go about our business. And if we're replacing a bridge that they can drive over today, but it ends up being a low water crossing that will be closed, then I wanted to think further about that.
it is a higher box, it's a bigger box culvert. There actually is another low water crossing 1 mile west of there. But this one is actually quite large. It's gonna be a triple double box culvert. So it'll be a huge box culvert and it'll be up higher than the one is to the west. But basically, if you put that block on the river, that'll keep the rest of the town from sliding in. If we put a bridge there, there's no guarantee that bridge would actually make it. It could probably keep sliding and we would be right back where we started again. So it's about cost-wise, it's about the same to do either one. But at least if we did this, we know that we'll have a road that goes. We've had to go there and we probably have to go there once a year, if not more, and fill that south side of that bridge in, because it'll drop down a foot or more. It just keeps continually sliding, and the south abutment is rotating, and the piers are rotating, the whole slider, the whole thing is moving. So we can't stop it. So
Okay, well, tell me this, Tom. Will the new low water crossing be higher than the bridge that is being replaced?
no, it'll be slightly lower.
Okay, but it shouldn't be, when the Maple River Dam is still holding back water and it's just releasing the releasing the fixed amount, will that bridge be underwater? I mean, that culvert be underwater?
That could be open because the one to the west, unless it goes over the spillway, the concrete spillway, Maple River Dam, that one stays out.
Okay.
So the frequency of it going under isn't that often with the Maple River Dam. So.
All right, that all makes sense to me. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so here's one thing we'd like to add possibly to this year's budget. We have it in our 21 budget, but redo the parking lot at the highway department, so the area in red. We built it in 2001, and there's getting quite a few cracks in there, and after about 20 years, it's about the time where you got to redo the pavement, whether it's on a road or sometimes sometimes roads actually are better when they get more traffic on them. Here it's a parking lot, so we're thinking it'd be about $80,000 to fix this. To basically take out 2 inches, mill out 2 inches, put 2 inches back, and then restripe it. So just the area in red.
How many square feet is it, Tom?
I think it's about, I was gonna say like 25,000 or so. I think it's somewhere around that. I can't tell you the exact number, Mr. Pollack, but it's that tonnage is around, I think it's about 400 ton asphalt. I think is where the tonnage is, so. But we asked, so Northern Improvement was doing some patching for us. They were saying, well, we could use some extra work, and do you have anything else? And well, they said, well, we have this for next year. They said, well, send us a quote. You know, so they sent us that quote for $53,250 to do it this year. And they said, well, to make sure, let's ask another contractor. So we asked Border States Paving, and they sent us that quote for $53,938. So less than $700 difference. So pretty good numbers, and we didn't think it would be that low. So we do have in this year's budget our Davenport shop. We're looking at remodeling that, or purchasing that one to the south. We'll get into that a little bit later. But there would be some funds available from that Davenport shop line item, because we don't plan on using all that. We're looking at maybe just doing possibly just purchase that additional shop to the north, and that's all. No more remodeling. So we would have the balance of that funds, basically 240,000 that we could fix up our parking lot this year. I don't know if that's what the committee thinks of that, I guess. If that's something that we'd be allowed to move forward with this fall, or that's something we should leave in next year's budget.
This is Ken Pollock. I'll give you my 2 cents. That's a super hot price on doing all that asphalt work. I had a smaller parking lot than that done this summer by Northern, and that was 60,000. So I think that if we have the funds and we have the bid, you'll never get pricing as attractive as what you have right there.
Right. Like I say, we were really surprised that the numbers that we got, so. And Northern Improvement is a good contractor, and they do, both contractors would do a great job, but,
Do you need a motion on that?
I think if we had a motion, then I would take it, if it got approved, I would bring it back to the full commission, for the contract approval.
Well, I would move that this committee authorize the work on the parking lot this year using the funds left over from the Davenport shop project.
Peterson, second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, would you call the roll, Brill?
Yes, Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Mr. Breitling,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherling,
Yes.
Mr. Steen,
Yes.
Mr. Lavig,
Yes.
Mr. Heil,
Yes.
Mr. Siewert,
Yes.
Mr. Munson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, people.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, so then after that, if there's no other further questions on next year's projects, I was gonna kind of go into our 5-year plans.
Just move down.
Okay, so the heart and soul of it are basically appendix 1 and 2. So in 1 and 2, 1 is all the roads and 2 is our bridges. So here on 1, basically we did have to shift things around a little bit, because we're thinking we're gonna get a little bit less, possibly, money here for what we've been hearing from Bismarck as far as the highway distribution fund for the gas tax. But, so we went conservative, and it's approximately 700,000 or more less than we thought we were gonna get, so we put that into our budget, and we kind of slid projects around, as needed. So we tried to keep to the plan as we had in the past, and we just had to shuffle things around here just a little bit, I guess. So next year basically is kind of what I showed previously, where, the Wheatland and Castleton project, and then down in 76th Avenue. Year after that, we're kind of got some subgrade repair projects that we're doing this year, and gravel, and working on County Road 9, and then I'd like to, we're looking at doing some culvert lining on Cass 81. And Cass 81 was constructed in the 40s, and when we rebuilt it in 2000, basically those culverts were extended, so those concrete pipes that are underneath 81 are the original pipes, so we would actually line those, similar to what we did on County 17 back in 2016, where it's a process where it's basically almost like a fiberglass lines. It's just less than a quarter inch thick, and it reinforces it, and they say it'll last 77 years. So it improves. You can lose a little end area slightly, but it improves the flow because it's smoother flowing through there. So that would fix up these roads that you don't have to open cut the road and that kind of thing. So the yellow is just kind of working on some of these overlay projects from the near Prosper up to County 4. And there's some more paving down in by St. Benedict and then some overlay work on 81. And it's kind of a big year in 2023 because that's the year where Fargo is slated to finish 52nd Avenue up to the roundabout that we did in 2008, and they did all that work on 52nd last year. So they would connect up to us, and then also, so that means this is our portion of the cost for the road. And then we also, in 2023, as part of this, all this work that we're looking at in the southeast corner is to build another roundabout at 64th Avenue to handle the increasing traffic there. So that would take care of that intersection. And that's what the city of Horace is basically their comp plan is what, if they're going to own that road someday, County 17, it'll be Horace Road, and they voted for the roundabout at 76th Avenue, and that was installed, and that'd be the plan to rather than put a light and then have a roundabout a mile south, it'd be 2 roundabouts. So, and then the one up, it'll probably be, I know the north one on 52nd Avenue, there's actually an additional right turn lane. And if you're coming from the south, it'll be another right turn lane. When you're coming from the west 52nd as you turn into the north. So which is similar to the one that was at 76th Avenue. So that'll take the extra traffic. So they're not both fighting on one lane as you make those turn movements. Well, there were the bigger projects, I guess, and then 2024 is County Road 16 is that was part of making all this fit. We had to move that one down to 2024. And then they're doing some more subgrade repair projects on the gravel on 34 west of Arthur and maybe 2026. We need to get over to State Highway 18. And then in 2025, it's a lot of paving 26 from 18 all the way to Gardner and from Cage West, and there's some more cement in these some of these gravel roads that are in rough shape. And then it's to start of rebuilding County Road 6 west of Alice, kind of widening it out 1 year, and then that one's got really steep slopes and safety issues there. Going south of Wheatland, widening that road out, flattening the slopes. And that'll be paved the following year. And actually, this is one change that we made. So the final plan, we were looking at winding all these culverts to the north, but rather than do that, we remove this and we would go from County Road 20 to County Road 20, actually up to County Road 32 to get 81 rebuilt. Ditches they don't drain. There's to put basically kind of what we did to County Road 17, where you crack the concrete and you would overlay that with asphalt and widen 81 out with paved shoulders, and there might and turn lanes as needed as that area in Industrial Park grows for City of Fargo, and eventually that probably would get turned over to City of Fargo, but there isn't a year for that yet. But well.
Okay, I have a question, Ken Pollock.
Go ahead, Ken.
So the Century Code requires that the county take care of the streets through a community up to a certain size, but I don't remember what that size is. Can you tell me that?
Up to once they hit the population of 5,000.
Once they hit what?
5,000?
5,000?
Yes.
And is Horace close to that now? Do we know?
They're at 3,500 or so. I guess we'll see after this census where they're at, and with all the houses they're building, there'll be a time there where I would say, I guess I don't know for sure, but I would say maybe that 8-year time frame, 5 to 8 years, depends on how the growth all happens down there.
I bet it'll be quicker than
Past
that.
that 5,000 number. Then
Boy, we're sure pouring a lot of money into that area.
Right. Yep.
Essentially for city streets. I mean, it's not for county travel, it's for city travel.
Keith Munson, I agree.
County 17, last time we built it was 2008, so it would be, there's a lot of traffic on there, so we did crack seal it this year, but it's with all that traffic down there, it'll need that overlay in 2024.
Mr.
Yeah,
Munson?
well, and maybe they'll be to that point where we overlay it and turn it over to Horace, because they'll be close to 5,000 by then.
That's what, I think that's what kind of what we're thinking is that's what's gonna happen, it'll be about that time frame. So, all the growth that they're looking at and all the development in that area, because we're looking at, access to County 17, north of 76th Avenue and south, and working with Horace, because basically you need to make sure that the access points that they get now, they're gonna have to live with when that becomes, a bigger road than it is today.
Yeah, well, I would suggest that the way that we look at this is we kind of hold back on the paving project until we know when it will be a city street, so that then we can build it to the standard that we followed with the other ones and turn it over. So maybe this gets pushed back a year, or maybe it gets pushed ahead a year as we approach that 5,000 marker.
Okay, yeah, because once we pave it again, it'll be good for another, hopefully 15 years, and by then for sure, they're gonna be past that 5,000, and they would, the road should be theirs if they're on both sides of the county road.
Sure.
The rest of those overlays, they're all kind of in sync of like, the last time we did 81 was 2005, so they're all coming due again down there. And 14 was done in 2003, or excuse me, 16, so they're all, it's that 15 to 20 year cycle where we need to overlay them again, so.
Mr. Munson, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. It's Keith Munson here. I'm drifting back up into my area, and when I look at this map, have traffic counts not say that we should have more east-west roads paved? There's nothing paved between hole 10 and 4 going east-west. And my question always has been, what about 22? And now I see, I've looked paged ahead here, and that's not out for 10, 15 years or more, or even think about that. And I guess my question is, I can't believe all the traffic that's coming now wouldn't be utilizing another east-west artery.
Right. And that was part of that plan was basically to get 22, we put that cement to it to burn that up. And we want me to know that probably after the diversion's in, that, 22 would be a road that would need to get surfaced. So.
It's not in the 5-year plan.
Yeah, it's not in there yet. I only got it in there, we got enough money to build right now, I guess, so. That's what we put in there.
Because we're spending it all down in Horace, and then we're gonna turn it over to them. We'll fix it up all nice, and then give them the road.
Right.
Mr. Wilson, did you have a question? No, go ahead. Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
So I have a question.
I have a question.
So do I, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. I think that you were first, Ken.
Did you say Ken?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Traffic counts. Can you provide us with the most current traffic counts on these county roads, especially the ones that we're thinking about paving? Could you get us that information, Tom?
That's coming actually in a slide further down. We get to like appendix 18. It'll show some where's the traffic numbers. There's the 5,000 down there on County Road 17 is where they're at.
Okay.
Yep. So.
Chad, did you have something?
Mr. Chairman, I had the exact same question as Commissioner Pollock.
How about you, Mary? Do you have a question?
Thank you. Yeah, we've talked in the past about speed limits, especially in the northern part of the county. And some of the problems that we encountered were that, the road design changes. And so what might be okay for 65 in one spot, you'd have to go back down to 55 a few miles later. Have we talked at all about addressing that and looking at road design and try to get up to 60 or 65 miles an hour? Is that completely off the table? That's my first question. And then my second question, are there other projects that we're not addressing? And we're kind of talking about that a little bit, but just, are there other things that have been brought to your attention that aren't in this plan? Those two questions, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. There is if I had time, if I got to it, if there is, after, it's basically just before the other business, I do have a slide in there for the roads that we were gonna recommend for 65. We were gonna bring that up on the March meeting, but that got canceled, so we were hoping to see if we have time to get to it now, otherwise it might have to go in November. So, but there's some recommended roads that we have in there. There's some areas where the vertical curves, but the fix basically was to extend the no passing zones. All of them have paved shoulders. Vertical curves are so close to where it matches that it does make sense that, and then plus it connects state highways that are 65 miles an hour. So, it would be a good thing, I guess. It could hurt nothing, I don't think, so. I can go to that now if I can take.
Happen?
Yes. So it'd be like County Road 26 from Page over to Gardner, County 4 from 38 all the way to Argusville. And then we wouldn't change County Road 10 from like Wheatland to Mapleton until we get all our construction done next year. Then that could go, then we could change that one so we don't have like a, one little piece that's 65 and then the rest of it isn't, so. And then County 38 from 94 all the way down to
46.
Down to 46. So, and then I think County Road 15 is the other one.
And when we have that more in-depth conversation, I think it would be good to have the sheriff invited along in case we had some questions for him.
Yes, we have visited with the sheriff previously on this, and he was okay with us switching these roads to at the time.
So this is Commissioner Pollock. I think that that's a great idea, and I want to see us move forward on this 65 mile an hour speed limit. But maybe we could set a particular commission meeting and for public comment on it. We don't want to just put it in and then have people that have concerns about it. So we have to have some sort of public airing of it. And if we could do that in a commission meeting, and the sooner we get this put in place, the happier I believe the residents will be.
Okay, that's a great idea. So, okay. Move on.
Any other questions?
Well, just my question about any requested projects that haven't been addressed.
I haven't, Jason and I haven't really received any additional projects that are not, that are in our 5-year plan now. We haven't got any other ones outside that we've got requests to do. No new ones, I guess, that I haven't heard anyway.
Other than 22.
22, yeah, right, absolutely.
22's been.
22, right. And I'll put it in there, so just trying to get to it, so.
Anything else, Barry?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, all right, then our structures, all the ones in red are kind of the ones we went through before, a lot of box culverts next year, and so that's what we're shooting for there. In 2022 are the orange ones, so a lot of box culverts up in this area. And this is a bridge that we're looking at getting federal funds for, just east of State Highway 18 and south of County 6. We're actually working on both of those bridges at the same time, if we could possibly get funding for both of them. There is a chance where we could build them both next year, but we only have one program right now. And usually the DOT wouldn't give us both, but we would get one of them. So that bridge has had issues for quite a while in there, and so want to get that one fixed. So most of them are box culverts, all those orange ones. That's kind of what most of our plan is, a lot of box culverts. They seem to really work good. So the flow is still there, and the machinery, and you can get tractors and combines across there that are wider for equipment, and sometimes you don't even know they're there when you drive over them. That with a bridge, you got guardrail issues that we replace them with. Especially if we use federal funds, we put guardrails, and you got snow problems and narrow structures, and that's why if we can put a box, maybe we'd rather do that, and they'll be there for the next 80 to 100 years. So, the bigger structures that are going to be happening than what we like in 2023, so that'd be when the city of Fargo will replace that bridge over the Cheyenne just east of 52nd Avenue. So that's a big bridge that kind of held up the project last time. There was a lot of permits and everything you had to get because that water gets diverted over to the city of Fargo there. If you need water for like a backup water source. So that'd be a wider, it's basically a super wide bridge that would connect to that roundabout. And then the bridge just south of there, we're working with the city of, actually with Houston Engineering, and that one, it actually was built in the 80s, and it's not a bad bridge. But the problem is if someday to get more turn lanes on County Road 17, the only way that thing, because the river is so close right there, basically it's cheaper to put in a larger box culvert than to put in a wider bridge, and you have to take the whole deck off and build everything fast to make it fit in there. And north end of that bridge actually is where today when you cross that bridge, actually you're driving in where the river was. They straightened it out a few years back in early 60s, and we might end up moving it back where it was. Essentially, we basically the curve of the road would be close to what it was before if we got to move that far. But we're looking at Terracon is helping us with some cell stability and geotech stuff there to see what's the best path forward there for that structure. That's all the ways yet, but.
Tom, there's another problem with that bridge on 52nd that Fargo's going to do, I think, in 23.
Yes.
There is a low structure in the Cheyenne River that maintains a pool for the purpose of diversion from there to the water treatment plant in Fargo.
Yes.
When it was constructed, the standards for those type of structures are totally different than it is today.
Mm-hmm.
One of the problems they're faced with is they're probably going to have some type of apparatus in the structure that replaces it for the fish to get around it.
Right, yes, yeah.
It's a real problem at that location, and that's the reason why they deferred it, pushed it back, because it's going to take a lot of planning and
More permits and
permits from the feds.
Yes.
It's considered a navigable river, and so under that, you have the Clean Water Act application to whatever we do there, and it's a problem.
It is, definitely, yeah.
I have a question too, when you're ready.
Sure, yeah.
So, I thought that the cities of a certain size had the primary responsibility for bridges. And maybe I have it confused with the roads, but inside the city of Fargo, do we participate with bridges? On rivers?
So that, the bridge that they put on 52nd Avenue or Grade 27, we did there because that was still under our inventory. It was still our bridge. So when we cost shared there they had some federal money, so, and there was.
On Drain 27, yes, I know that was on a drain, but what about on the Cheyenne?
Right, and on Cheyenne, that's still our bridge there too, so Fargo's got the gates underneath it, but it's still considered our bridge, and it's under our inventory. So, because
Fargo, West Fargo, and Horace, so it's kind of
right,
and us.
When that gets replaced, it wouldn't be just us. The number that I have in there is basically cost sharing between City of Fargo, West Fargo, really, and Horace, and us is in there. So it's not just.
Well, do we have responsibility for the other Cheyenne River bridges inside the city of West Fargo?
You know, that we did the one on 40th Avenue. That one, I guess, that's off our system. I think now.
It's off our inventory now.
Yes, that one's inside West Fargo. And the one on 32nd, West Fargo put in. The one on 12th Avenue North, we put that in, but that's not on our system anymore either. That's West Fargo's.
So I would like clarification to make it clear on the bridges inside of the cities, just so that we know going forward because it kind of sounds like it's piecemeal. We do some, but we don't do the other one.
And that one basically, we are cost sharing with that one, that on the Cheyenne and 52nd.
Cause
But that
it's,
one to the south would all be us.
cause it's still our road
Yeah,
for a quarter mile from
Right.
52nd Avenue roundabout going east on 52nd Avenue, just about to the new stoplight that they put there. That's still under our jurisdiction of roadways, so that's why the bridge is as well.
right, yeah.
Why is that still under the county?
Until, I guess it's just,
Until we give it up?
once they take the road, then the bridge would follow shortly after that, so.
Well,
When they take the road, the bridge is, it should, I mean. it should
they're
be-
not crazy. They're not gonna take the road.
Yeah. Well, they will at 23, and then hopefully we'll get rid of 17 in sometime in around that time frame, or, you know, maybe within 8 years from now, when Horace is over 5,000.
You can kind of see the way I'm thinking on this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yep.
Any other questions?
Not really a question, but I have a thought, I guess, on Scott Sayward on just seeing a bridge replacement on the north side of 24 Maple River. We have, after being around that low water crossing you put in our township, we prefer those, the low water crossings.
You do?
Yes. There's so much less maintenance, and if I have to close the road for a day, it's no big deal. Rather than to fight with the guardrails and the narrow bridges.
Right, yeah.
That spot where we're talking, it's such a, with the alignment of the road,
Yeah.
we looked into that. And I don't know where,
They gave us it was more expensive actually to put that box in there, and that isn't, Scott, for some reason, I guess, but, just, I can really look at that, I guess, and see, but,
You know,
you know,
like
if
you
you would prefer a box, you know, I mean, that's the best way to go.
so we have a lot of plumbing issues on the Maple.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I really like how those are holding up better than our bridge
Yeah.
entrances.
granted, with this bridge, the guardrail would be much more comfortable for machinery and things like that as
Yeah.
compared to this old wooden structure.
Right.
But that, you know, this bridge 6 miles away only lasted 10 years.
Now you said we put it in, yeah.
So why do we want to do it again?
I mean, if we could put a bridge in other areas, we'd rather do a bridge. We know they're pretty, you know, but, you know, it is the option to put that box in there.
Yeah, because that one, over here was done in 97, and the one on 18, they had nothing but trouble with because of the banks and slumping.
Yeah.
And they made a bridge over land to get away from that
Right.
problem. So I just think that anything that you're looking at on the Maple River should always be something that's gonna protect for the slumping.
Okay, well, we can certainly look into that, so. That makes more sense. Like I say, it'll be a triple double, so what's that, at Paulson's place? It'll be
Double.
6 times that,
Oh,
a triple double. We have to put, because there's federal money in there, so there's a double box at Paulson's, there's gonna be 6 boxes at, Anna Powers. Just because of the velocities and the fish passage, we have to, for federal funds in there, so it has to be that much bigger. So in a way, in the velocities coming out of there, so, you know, erosion issues and that kind of thing will be good. And then it'll be bigger, so it'll take more water and, or it goes under too, but it's gonna look kind of strange to have a double 1 mile away, a 6-box culverts 1 mile east of there. But that's what the federal government is making us do. And the bridge would be about the same price, but then there's no guarantee the bridge is gonna work with them slides. We could be right back where we started from. If we extend that bridge 200 feet south, the slide issues could still be there.
Right.
So that's why we put a box. Basically putting a block down the river and the dirt just slides up that and ain't gonna go anywhere, so that's why we want.
Any other comments or questions? Tom, what's next?
All right, well, we got all kinds of fun. So basically, so after 2023, those, in 2024 and 2025, it's just more box culverts that we're doing, I guess, So it's kind of our plan, we're just gonna keep rolling with those, so. And there's a lot of box culverts, kind of north and west of where we're working here. There's 1920 Castle, we're putting in this year, there's a bunch of them up in this area that, these bridges got, this is the classic wooden abutments, and they're narrow, and either the concrete, and they got cracks in them, and they all pass their service life, I guess, so.
We are thinking about a bridge west of Amenia on County Road 32 though, instead of a box culvert.
Yes, thanks, Wayne, that one, that's a narrow bridge there, that one is really tough for equipment to get across there, and it's actually rough shape too, it's,
West of 18?
yeah, west of Amenia.
How far?
About a mile west of Amenia.
Yeah, it's close by.
Yeah, we did put a bridge across there, across the Russia, back in 2014, but, that was kind of a realignment project there, and that bridge was really in rough shape, and now this other one to the east, it's narrow, plus it's got structural issues.
The Rush River Water Resource District is working with the city to try to provide some flood protection, maybe even a dike, I'm not sure. Do we need to coordinate that with that crossing?
We're further west than that, but I mean, we would work with our Water Resource District as far as the hydraulics to make sure we don't cause any issues with the city of Amenia.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's the heart and soul, is the roads and the bridges. The rest of it is, this really hasn't changed because, it's just when we test our roads every 5 years, won't do this again until 2022. But one thing to note here, I guess our goal and our plan was to get at 90 for our PCI, and we actually hit 90.5, so we hit that. But, you know, the roads, the pavement, we're gaining ground on our pavement, but the last slide I have in here is our culverts, and we have issues with our culverts. I mean, the road might be good, but some of these culverts have been in the ground 50, 60 some odd years, and it doesn't do a lot of good when you got a nice paved road, but the culvert is, it got some issues. But that's what we're dealing with, working on. So let's just say our paving condition is pretty good. If it's in, it's either good or very good for most of all of Cass County, so on the paved roads. And this is just our testing, so a lot of green, so the green means a 10-ton road or better. And there's some gravel roads in here that we tested, so County 3 going up there, that's gravel. It's just as strong as the paved roads when we put that cement in there into the gravel roads. And we're doing that County Road 1 and 2 this year, so that really helps with the frost boils in the spring, and you can get across those. And we're getting close to, after this year, we'll be about 96 miles of gravel road that had that cement in there. So we're gaining ground on our gravel roads, trying to get them so in the spring they're not a mess to try and get through them. This just shows last time we paved all our roads, so. See, there's, the oldest ones are 1949, that concrete on 81. And actually, that concrete really looks good. The only problems, areas you have problems are where the culverts are. And that's where, you have a patch of asphalt, but other than that, that concrete it's actually really in great shape compared to when it was put down in 1949. So, this is just the last time we chip sealed all our roads, so updated it with the stuff we did this year. This is all the bridges, so these are all the bridges on the county roads. So we don't have any posted bridges on any county roads right now. We did a few years ago, but we got those bridges fixed up. The only one that comes close is the one up on County 2, east of Gardner, but it's actually in the legal drain just right off of County Road 2, but that's the one we're gonna get next year.
County Road 34 now is posted bridge over the Georgia.
Oh, thanks, Wayne. Yep, yeah, so,
Just changed.
yeah, that they did last winter, so it's a fracture critical, and any truss bridge, any overhead truss or metal truss bridge, the DOT pretty much automatically gives those a fracture critical where they know, it's not like it's gonna fall down tomorrow, but if there's could be issues with just with the
components of
it, right? There's that one, and there's one not too far from it's on the Wahlberg Maple River line townships on the Maple. There's one more truss bridge there, and that's the only two trusses we got left in Cass County. These are all the townships, there's a lot more structural deficient ones, so, and some code 3, so one of your place, Keith, is code 3 plus structurally deficient, so it's big. The ones in the west is structurally deficient also, so, and that code 3 one that I said before, this is we're trying to get rid of, this code 3 on the Hofer property, and this is the one that we were talking about, that putting that low water crossing in there, so all these code 3 ones, we do have a plan here for after next year, all the stars align, they should all be gone. But then they'll do another inspection in the fall, so we'll see what else we find, so. This just shows, how wide the roads are compared to the bridges, and, you know, you say you put boxes in, you keep gaining ground, so the red, here, that was the county roads, this red one is the township roads, you see a little more red, so it's a lot of the narrow bridges, under 24 feet on the township roads, where basically it's kind of a 1-lane bridge. This is all in yours. We put some tile down the center of the gravel roads, and that seems to be helping. I guess that plus some cement. We haven't done it recently. We've just been doing the cement. These are our subgrade repair projects. Like I say, we're pushing 96 miles now of that's including the stuff we did this year. We're going to do this year, but west of Hunter and north of Culver City, and then also County 10 that we're building now. They're doing that probably as of today. They started on the east end, they're working their way west, putting that cement into the subgrade, and that pays forward. And these are all the roads where we put the millions and the gravel together, so that's kind of we're almost like an experiment somewhat, I guess, that we're trying to keep the dust down and kind of hold the gravel together, but I know this, we didn't put the cement in it, and we should have done that, and now it's a lot better. If you get too much millions in there, it melts back together, and then you can't blade it. So
And I did your remember. Thank you.
yes, appreciate that. Anyway, then they got in there, they mowed it all down now, and they tried to knock all the.
They were nasty.
down, so.
They were nasty.
So that's, and I wish it, of course it rained like crazy, and we were out there trying to do it last fall when they were here. So, up against that. Chip seals kind of next 5 years, just kind of following whatever road gets paid, we try to chip seal it the next year. We need to go a little further, but it's always good to try and do it right away. I always kind of use the analogy of, like new cars, they say you can change your oil at 10,000 miles or 8,000 miles, but the more you do it, it's so much nicer to do it. You don't lose your aggregate and fines on the pavement, and you can get that sealed up with a chip seal. It pays forward. This one is kind of way out there, 30 years. So they're it's in there. So then it's more now in this area here, and in the old 10 there, and so it's basically getting an east-west corridor. There isn't a paved road all the way across Cass County in the south side. So when 16 gets done, you'd get at least from 18 in, and then maybe when County 6 is done, you'd be able to go from basically the county line, jog up a mile, and you'd come all the way into Forest City. So.
I'll be really interested, this is Pollock speaking, I'll be really interested to see what the traffic numbers are on that gravel section of Old 10 compared to the other roads that we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lower one, I guess, so that would be, they say when they get to 400 is when they kind of triggered up to pave them, but that may not get there, I guess, but so I might be retired by then, I don't know. Or maybe in the ground, I don't know. This is from our pavement study that we did. They just recommended how much asphalt we should put on top of these roads. Like when we do new overlay. So they're saying we should, that there should be maybe 2.5 inches more on County Road 11. We built that back in 1998, and it was a wet subgrade when we did it, and we battled it, we built it, we battled it, we paved it, and so. The other thing that could happen.
Does anybody know why they call that the Meridian Road?
I think it's with,
It's a line of lot latitude.
it's got something to do with the
Yeah.
prime meridian. It's, yeah, that's what they use.
Yeah, it's a longitude latitude thing.
Great, yep. So, the one thing that could happen to us this winter, we don't know yet, but there were some rumors that there could be like another stimulus package for paving. That could happen, but we don't know, yeah. That would only be for overlays, of course.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, our plan, we sent the DOT that we would probably do 11, and then we could do, 5 north to 18. That's be the oldest pavement that we'd have for overlays, and it's always good to have a road that's got paved shoulders, and if you gotta do, any, kind of dirt work or anything, when you got federal funds, it's just a paperwork nightmare, and you're better off spending, you get more dollars, more bang for your buck, basically, when you just do an overlay. So that's what we would try to get those. And so if we get that money, that would actually, it would completely turn upside down our 5-year plan for the good. And we could maybe move some of those projects that are out further up. So we'll see what happens to us over the winter here. So this is the one that scares me the most. This is our best guesstimate, how old our culverts are at some of these roads. Some of these are probably slightly better than they are because we have replaced some center line culverts under some of these gravel roads. But, you know, it would, anything basically, you know, green or blue is from 1980 to now, you know, so that's 40 years. In your culverts, you get 50 years out of a culvert, you know, sometimes that's doing pretty good. You know, and we've got all these other culverts that are way older than that, and some we don't know how old they are because there are no plants. All you really would have is when you got right away, you know, and it might have been a township road that eventually got, you know, turned into a county road, and you know, so it's. But that's what we're up against. So, like I said, I mentioned before that we have, you know, we're doing good in our pavements, but our infrastructure underneath is what we need to address also. And one, you know, it's either you got to regrade it or you open cut, or that's what we're looking at. You know, we could do some of these culvert lining projects but sometimes if the culvert's too far gone, you got to open cut the road, and there's other issues with the road, and you almost got to start over. So this, like I say, this one scares me the most. So.
Never ceases to amaze me how many things you have to worry about as an engineer in the highway department.
Right. So this one here, this is, when you guys, committee members were asking about traffic. So this one is our crashes. So this is the one that we had, this is all the crashes from 2006 to 2019. So my eyes, I can't see real good, but the red are the fatal. So there's, I know, Alton Tower City, last winter or so ago, and I went up in Page, and east of Gardner, County Road 20, County Road 31, 15, yeah, that one, those kids there. But it's, so the wider the green circle shows where the traffic is, you know, it's like, they're saying County Road 17 is like pushing 5,000, over 5,000, close to 6. But, you know, one thing you look at this map is, you know, you got all this traffic, but you don't necessarily have a lot of red dots, you know, so they're spread out all over. So it's telling us, for the most part, that the roads aren't really the problem. Sometimes it's drivers, or it's, you know, other issues, or alcohol, or just going too fast, or those kinds of things. So what we did is took this chart and split it into 2006 to 12. So this one shows like all the accidents that were up to 12. And here's some red dots, but they're still all throughout the whole county. And, you know, where the higher traffic is, you don't really see red dots other than, there's one there. Remember what that one was?
No, I do not.
Sorry if I grouped it by Mr. Bunsen. I was trying to think, so it must have been before 12 when that happened, but I can't honestly remember myself what.
Doesn't ring a bell at all.
Okay, but you know, like I say, it's the higher traffic doesn't necessarily mean you have more accidents. You know, I mean, there are some, but you don't have the fatal ones. So it's you know, a lot of the, you know, bender kind of stuff, but no one lost their lives. So then we also, I took it and split it again. Trevor helped me with all this stuff here. We split it again, so it's from 13 to now. And, you know, you see the red dots that are there. and it's, you know, the higher traffic areas, so.
We started doing a lot of rumble strips on the white edge line in that 2013, 2014 range. So that's why we kind of split that
Yep.
year, just to kind of see if there was any correlation to those kind of things.
And that's what this graph kind of shows here. It, you know, it shows like Blaine was saying there, after in that range, you know, the crashes, they went down, you know, we can't say that it was just because we put rumble strips out there, or maybe we got a better paved road, or, we don't know why, but it's going in the right direction for the most part, you know, so it's definitely good to see or encouraging, so. And then now, plus we're, you know, all our new roads we're getting wider, you know, so especially in winter time, if you don't, sometimes you can't even find the road when it's all gotten snow across it, you don't even know where the road is, but you can hear the road with the rumble strips. So that's that.
Well, just so you know, I'm not a fan of the rumble strips. I think it's foolish to take a new road and cut holes in it.
We didn't follow what the DOT did, but they would go down the center, because basically we feel that's the weakest part of your pavement. When you have two, you put up a pole joint next to another one, that's first place where water gets in there and starts coming apart. At least on the edges, it keeps you from going off the road, but the DOT, they made a decision to do center line and everything. So
In 2009 and 2011, you didn't have any crashes, and that was before you had any rumble strips.
yeah, the only different rumble strips we did are actually on County Road 17. Those are they're like a cyclical. They're not basically the same depth all the way. They get shallower, they get deeper. So they're supposed to make a different sound, or then maybe the people that could go across them, like with bicycles, they could cross them without having to have a gap in there. I mean, that was the idea there. So we tried them there, but I don't know that they really made that much difference, but we did try them, so. And we actually had to fill up some in some areas too, and we got a lot of complaints, right? So now what we do is when we pave a new road, we'll go 500 feet each side of like a farmstead, and we don't put them there. Because in the past, we put them there, and that's where people say.
At night,
Yeah.
Oh, noisy.
So, yeah,
I hear them on the interstate from my place.
Right, yeah, so. Okay. Well, that's how we plan, I guess. If there's any more questions, I was gonna kind of go into our dam shop. We got a few things to ask to committee members on that.
Did you get any information on all your pavement test strips?
That's actually included in there, and it's amazing how well that thin pavement south of the railroad tracks, it's only like 3/4 of an inch thick, how well that's holding up. And the other side is like, it's basically like a double chip seal, and that's holding up. But the only thing there, we're losing the edges. When we plow it, the wing is out there, the white stripe keeps getting narrower. So it's good if you've got enough pavement on top of it and you got paved shoulders, or it thins up our pavement and thins up our base, and that's what we're doing on 38 and 10. So that'll we can save money there, but it's not a long-term, fix for like a county road. If you have like a driveway here or something like that, where you don't have the aggressive snow plowing, wing grinding on the edge like that, that's where you start losing that pavement, and it just gets narrower. So, but we did test it, and it's just as strong and as, like say, a paved road, so they ain't like our gravel roads that we tested, they're still 10 ton, 13 ton, and there's no pavement on them, so. That's Smith and the subgrade really pays forward, so. If you ever want to stop in sometime, so I can show you the zoomed in there, what those sections look like, so. Yeah.
You want to cover the Davenport shop options now?
Yeah, it'll be okay, all right, thank you. So maybe Blaine, if you would like to, 15 minutes to go here, so, sorry.
So last year, this is Blaine Lovig, the highway superintendent. I brought this forward at last year's budget time, and I guess we kind of just halted. We didn't say yes and we didn't say no, I guess. So we're kind of looking at a way forward of where to go with this project. The money is in our 2020 budget, and we had talked about possibly purchasing the property north of us and then adding on and then, you know, swapping out our existing shop into this new shop. Well, I guess right now, with money being tight and different things with this nature, I guess I propose just buying the property and the existing shop that is on there. That way we could utilize that area. It's cold storage right now. It's not a heated shop. We'd be able to utilize it as a cold storage, type facility where I'd be able to keep a tractor and a mower out there and possibly a mower and a snow blower out there in the winter time, because my existing shop that is there, is smaller in comparison to our other two existing shops that are in Buffalo and Argosville. And it is very tight quarters to get 2 motor graders and a pickup and all of our other shop maintenance stuff in our existing shop. So we end up parking on the adjacent neighbor's property, who owns the property to the north that we're proposing to buy. He's been a good neighbor about letting us do these kind of things. He had talked about possibly at one point wanting to switch properties with us, but now he does not want to do that. He just wants to sell his existing property and move on. He'd like to give us the first shot at purchasing it if we do want to move forward with that. He's gotten it appraised years ago and kind of has a number in mind of what they had given him at that point. I think we'd have to probably go and get another appraisal just so that we know where we're looking at, I guess, as far as what it's probably worth. And then that way, maybe 2-3 years down the road, we could possibly add on to that building, make it appropriate for one spot in one location, and then we could sell our existing shop at that time after we did some improvements to that building in that place. So I guess.
Assessed for?
Excuse me, Mary, I'm not sure, you broke up a little bit.
Do you happen to know, what we've assessed that property for?
Yeah, we don't have it in here. It's kind of, that property itself is like 5 or 6 different parcels, so we do have, I mean, we could find that out. We just don't have it on the sheet here, Mary. I apologize for that, so.
Would it be appropriate to, for this group to move to authorize an appraisal of those 5 lots and the building on them for the purpose of providing us with information as to what the cost would be if we did go forward?
How big is that building?
Our existing shop is like 40 by 50, and this one is like 45 by 50 roughly. It's comparable size-wise, pretty comparable, but you're gaining quite a few more lots and acreage, I should say.
Area to the east, yeah. So that would probably be that'd be like more storage, then we would add on to the east, then we could put 2 doors, so both motor graders could pull in.
The existing building there, where it says proposed new shop, that building is just not, the doors are too short. Our existing building is a taller, higher building as compared to this one for the doors. So it's really tight to get motor graders in there at that time. But that way, if we kept our shop and maybe a few years down the road did some improvements, that's when we could get it to where we want it completely all in one location.
So the metal building or?
Yeah.
The new one is for the proposed.
Yeah.
What's the present asking price on the new one?
He thought that it would be, they told him when they did an appraisal, a non-insulated building at that price, non-insulated would be around 140, and an insulated with heat would be around 160 is what I talked to him on the phone about. And I don't know how many years ago that was, Ken, but that's why I guess I'd like to get an appraisal on it just to see where we're at. And
did he put a price of 140 on it? Is that what he said?
He figured it'd be fair between, 140 and 160, I guess, then comparable to what they told him on that. But
That's for the whole property?
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's the building, that's everything. That's all those 5 lots and the building. So.
There's no other spot.
What's the physical address?
Oh,
Durbin.
I don't know that off the top of my head, Mr. Peterson.
Mr. Wilson, you had a question?
Just a comment. I was down there a couple of months ago. I think I was in Davenport with Jason for a meeting and swung by the shop and had a couple of pieces of machinery in the building at that point, and you aren't joking, it was about a tight fit. And then there were a number of other pieces outside, and it appeared that we're very fortunate that we've got a neighbor that allows us to kind of drift over the property line a little bit, because there were pieces not on our property at that point as well.
I would entertain a motion to authorize the highway department to seek an appraisal of this property.
I'd make that motion.
Is there a second?
Rick will second.
The motion's been made and second. Further discussion, if any?
Yes, Commissioner Pollock speaking. I think that if the price on that building is 140 to 160, let's say that it's 150 and we could make a deal. I don't know why we want to even mess around with an appraisal and everything else. I mean, that's not unreasonable, and it fits our need. I would just say, look at the money we're saving. If we had $400,000 budgeted, we've already taken approximately $65,000 out of there for the West Fargo project. And we still have enough money to not only to buy this, but we could insulate that building if we wanted to and fill all the needs for the highway department at that Durbin location. And, you know, all an appraisal does is it just slows everything down.
So could I pop in here with another comment?
Sure.
I think Ken's probably spot on, but why don't we pretty much have an appraiser. Why don't we ask our Paul Fracassi what his opinion of value is on that? I bet you he gets pretty close.
That's a wonderful idea.
So I would,
motion?
Yeah, let's change my motion to asking Paul to take a look at it for us and giving us his opinion.
I'll second the change.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Darrell, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Mr. Breitling,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherling,
Yeah.
Mr. Steen,
Yes.
Mr. Lavig,
Yes.
Mr. Heil,
Yes.
Mr. Saywart,
Yes.
Mr. Munson.
Yes. Thank you. We have the Brewer Lake Road.
Yes, one other item, try and cover this,
We've got 9 minutes.
okay. Blaine could probably help me with this one a little bit too, because, back when that campground was built, probably in the, I don't know exactly when it was, I think it was in the early 60s, when the dam was built in the campground there. I mean, there's always been issues with the township blading this road, and there's soft spots, and we drove it this spring, and there's some pretty nasty frost boils in there. It's always been the thought from the township is, if you have a county park out in the middle of this township, why isn't that a county road? So that was always kind of over the years, the thought process from the township. I think Blaine, he reached out to, Bob Kaiser, the chairman, for Erie Township. His thoughts, I guess, Blaine had referred.
Yeah, this is Blaine again, speaking. And, just in talking with their township chairman and another supervisor, I don't know, the word, like Tom said, it was always kind of under the assumption that it was going to be a county road. It just never came to fruition back, I don't know, 40 50 years ago, whenever this did come along the campground. So they're just, they really would like some help. This year it became a real issue because of just the general nature of how bad gravel roads were around all of the county and all of the state for that matter. they really had a lot of issues with the road going north-south leading into there. They actually had road barricades up because the road was in terrible shape. And then it was right about the time that we were gonna open the campground, and it really became an issue with campers and pickups going through and going around barricades just so that they could get up to the campground and different things. So it became more of an issue, I guess, for the township this year in relation to that. So they're, you know, they just were wondering if we would be able to help out, like Tom said, and, you know, I have a blade that runs right up to a mile away from this specific spot. So, you know, as far as the motion of travel of my blade, I'd be within a mile of this location anyways. To do another 1.5 miles would not be, too detrimental to my route, I guess, as far as that goes. But like I said, we're just looking at getting your options on what you guys think, and, if we're wasting our time or not, or how we want to go forward with this, I guess.
This is Commissioner Pollock speaking. If we're gonna have a county park, then we have an obligation to maintain the road, and I have thought that for a long time that road should be paved. And the fact that it's coming forward now, I think is interesting, because, you know, if I had my druthers, I'd rather not have a county park, but if we have a county park, then we have an obligation to maintain the road, and that road should be a paved road. And so we should help the township now with gravel and with blading, and we should get it on the schedule to get it paved. That's my 2 cents.
And that's one thing we talked about, this is Blaine again, you know, the possibility of maybe looking at some funding. Maybe there's a grant for park type, you know, recreational use. Maybe we could look into something like that here for the, you know, start graveling it and blading it for now, and then just kind of look into those different options, if that's a possibility or not, I guess, because we both agree as well. It's always a problem. I always end up going up into the campground itself, and it's too narrow to bring my motor grader up in there, so we end up doing some other ways of trying to keep the road in decent shape. So whereas if we paved it, you know, problem solved, just like everyone wants their gravel road paved.
What is the process to make it a county road?
I don't know if we'd have, I guess that's where we're asking you to. I guess I don't know if we'd need to per se make it a county road, other than just having an agreement with the township, I guess, that we'll maintain this 1.5 miles worth of roadway. It'd probably have to get taken away from their miles of township road, I guess, so that they're not doubling up on something. So,
Right.
so I don't know per se if it would have to be Highway 5A or 5B or 34A, 34, you know, one of those things. I think it could just kind of stay the way it is, but just that we're under the, you know, obligation of helping out the township just through a agreement, I guess.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Say, just a question, it's a pretty small picture, but what else does that road serve? There's like, I mean, is there a house in there somewhere, an airport?
At the 1/2 mile line, there is a house there, and there's always a bad spot in the road there. And then when you turn and go north then, so there's only one property there along the east-west road there, right at the 1/2 mile, just south of where that little airplane is. And there must be a runway there, I guess. I'm even unaware of that spot, I guess. So that's a Google Earth.
That's one house served by the east-west.
Yes.
So in the winter, is there any requirement that the north-south be maintained?
I don't know if the township does that stretch, and that's another thing I gotta ask, well, then, you wanna go and plow a road for fishing, and I don't wanna get involved in that, but I wouldn't have a obligation, I guess, or.
No, there is ice fishing out there.
You're right, and I mean, it does.
Obviously, that road has to be maintained.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have access.
Yeah, so I think the township plows that north-south stretch, but as far as anything into the park, that's just whoever decides to come out with their pickup and plow or loader and try to clean some snow for the fishermen to get in and out.
Well, there's a grass runway there, but it's no hanger.
No.
There's nothing, so I don't know. Aerial applicator operates out of that sometime or something, but.
Yeah.
Like, we could fix all those soft spots by putting that cement into the ground, we could do that to start with, and then that would help, and then, you know, whether it becomes a county road or not, or if it gets paved or not, I guess that would be whatever your wishes.
Do we need to have some agreement with the township?
I think that would be good, I guess, just to have a written up kind of memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement of some sort, like we do with some of our other operations, and do that.
Why don't you come back to the full commission with a proposed agreement about how we would maintain those roads and what relationship it would be with the township?
Okay.
Does that sound agreeable to everyone?
Well, this is Commissioner Pollock. It's a county park. It's served off of a county road. We really should just take it on as a county road up that terminates at the park, and ultimately we should have it paved. I mean, I don't know. We're not going on the cheap on anything else. I don't know why we should cut this project short.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll definitely look at, what that price tag would be and different options.
Yep, cost to fix the ground, soft spots, and then eventually to pave it, so. Like I say, if I would want to pave in the campground, just so you don't have to try and get in there with something bigger equipment to maneuver around there, so. Okay. 1 minute?
1 minute left.
That was the last one, so it's not.
Any other business that anyone wants to bring before?
Okay, 30-second question, Keith Munson. Yep, we talked about the the speed limit being raised. Is that something that's going to happen? Or is this gonna be just discussed more? Or what's the deal with that?
That's what we're gonna bring it to this committee and just see what your thoughts were, I guess. I mean,
I think
Mr.
Pollock said we should probably bring it to a public commission meeting so that there's some public involvement, I guess, as far as what.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot
Do
about
we
it.
need a motion to do that? Or do we just?
It would be a motion to request
Recommend.
request the county commission to hold a public informational meeting to determine what the input from the property owners in the area would be.
Okay, I would make a motion to do that.
Is there a second?
Second by Pollock.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would you call the roll, Burl?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Breitling?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherling?
Yes.
Mr. Steen?
Yes.
Mr. Steen? Oh, okay, sorry. Mr. Lavig?
Yes.
Mr. Heil?
Yes.
Mr. Saywart?
Yes.
Mr. Munson?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't know if we need a motion to adjourn or not, but the time is up.
Don't move anyway.
And a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, carried.
Thank you.
See you in 28 minutes.
Half hour.